Coming up on iOS today, Rosemary Orchard and I pop in our AirPods Pro or maybe our AirPods Max, put those on, and we talk about tips and tricks for those excellent hearables.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This podcast is supported by AT&T. If there are friends and family members you haven't talked to in a while, don't worry. It's never too late to reconnect. To help, AT&T is offering deals on the latest smartphones. It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving new and existing customers their best deals on every smartphone, even the latest ones. Restrictions and exceptions may apply. Visit att.com for details. And iOS Today is brought to you by Casper. When it comes to a better night's sleep, Casper's new cooling collection has you covered. Focus on tomorrow and let Casper handle the rest. Explore Casper products, mattresses, sheets, pillows, and more at casper.com/iOS Today and use code iOS Today for $100 off select mattresses. Wow. Woohoo. Welcome to iOS Today, the show where we talk all things iOS, tvOS, watchOS, HomePod OS, iPad OS. It's all the OSs that Apple has on offer right here on iOS Today. I am one of your hosts, Mikah Sargent.
And I am Rosemary Orchard.
Hello, Rosemary. How are you today?
Oh, I'm excited. Literally, just as we were coming on air, Apple have announced the next event, which we're going to get to in the news section. But in the meantime, we get to talk headphones. And, who doesn't love a couple of pairs of AirPods or, one, two, wait, there's three kinds of AirPods now. What is going on here? There's just so many headphones and you can do so many things with them.
You can. And I know that there will be a few people who really hate the fact that I call them hearables. But look, you've got wearables and you've got your other devices. So I'd like this category called hearables, especially whenever we're talking about sort of the upcoming potential for tracking sleep, tracking your respiration rate and stuff like that. We're not quite there yet, but I think we're kind of on the cusp of that. And so this whole category of devices we put in our ears to listen that can provide so much more, I think that's where AirPods definitely fit. So so you brought this topic up and I thought it was a great idea to talk about these devices and different tips and tricks for what we can do with them. So tell us about kind of your first ideas and maybe your inspiration for wanting to talk about this.
Well, my first idea came from the fact that, as I mentioned last week on the show, I lost my AirPods. These lovely little guys went under a shelf half under my sofa, and it took me forever to find them because they weren't where I was expecting them to be. So I added an AirTag, and I thought, you know what? There is Find My support coming to AirPods Pro and AirPods Max. I'm not quite sure how it's going to work because the case on the AirPods Pro can't make a sound and the headphones aren't that loud in the case. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see on that because obviously this is still a beta, though fingers crossed it should be out in a few weeks. But, there's a lot of things that we can do with our AirPods, from simple things like using one and then swapping them to extend battery life when we're on a long call with some friends, or, customizing those taps, switching noise cancellation, all the good stuff.
Yes. So that's the thing, is that these things have so much power. There's a lot that you can do with AirPods. And we should be clear, there's a lot you can do with AirPods, AirPods Pro, AirPods Max, and also the most recent version of the Beats headphones. But we kind of wanted to cover the gamut of some of the things that these devices themselves do and that Apple has kind of provided guidance on. And then we're going to get into some more that we want to talk about, sort of customizing and making changes to your AirPods or protecting them in some ways. So I think one of the first things that people should know about AirPods, AirPods Pro, AirPods Max, is the gesture controls that are built in. And depending on which pair you have, those gesture controls work differently. You activate the gestures in different ways, but they have little taps or little clicks that you do to make adjustments to what those actual movements do. So tell us about customizing the taps for AirPods.
Yeah. So first of all, you're going to need to make sure your AirPods are actually connected to your device. So if you go into the Bluetooth settings, you'll see all of them. And you need to take the AirPods or AirPods Pro out of their case to do this. And then once they're connected, you get way more options in the Bluetooth settings area. And for example, double tapping on different AirPods. So I'm holding my left AirPod here. So if I were to double tap this one while listening to music, it would go to the next track. Similarly, if I double tap the right one, it goes to the previous track. But I can change this if I want to use it to activate Siri, play, pause, or turn off entirely. Then I can do that. Now, personally, I have to say I don't use play, pause for any of these taps or squeeze options as they are on the AirPods Pro, because if you're wearing two AirPods and you take one out, or actually even if you're wearing one and you take one out, that will pause the music for you, or whatever the playback is. It just pauses it, which is really useful. So you actually don't need to waste a tap or a gesture with that, because it does just, work when you take out an AirPod. And obviously, if somebody comes up and talks to you, it's nice to just take out an AirPod. Little bonus tip for people. I often, if I'm taking one out, and I'll just hide my iPhone there, I'll just slide it into my Apple Watch strap, because that is a way to keep it safe, for the 2 minutes I'm having a conversation without digging out my case, and then voila, pop it out, put it back in the ear. And so that's one of the things I do there. But, as well as modifying this, you'll have to figure out what works best for you. For me, left is going forward and right is going backwards. I'm not quite sure why. So that's why I've got next and previous set up like that. But you can also choose which AirPod uses the microphone. And I have it set to automatically switch AirPods, because this way, if the battery's running down on one, it's going to switch over to the other one, which is really convenient, because, it will automatically detect which ear or that your AirPods are in your ears, which is how it knows how to do the play pause. And that allows you to, take one out, pop it in the case, charge it up a bit, and then pop it in. Give it a moment. Once the audio is going to both ears, then you can take the other one out and pop it in the case to charge it up. If you're, getting to the end of a call, but your AirPods are starting to run out of battery, that's a good way around that problem, I find.
Yeah, for me, I almost always suggest having that automatic detection on for switching the microphone specifically, because as much as, you may think, oh, it's good that, I know that I'm always talking into the left one or I'm talking into the right one. The convenience of AirPods is the ability to have them kind of automatically switch back and forth. However, I will say I do have one specific thing with mine. I do have automatic ear detection turned off right now. And the reason why is because I listen to, back when I was alone and I did not have, someone who shared my space for sleeping, then I could listen out loud to audiobooks, because I listen to audiobooks to fall asleep. But when you are with someone else, then you obviously don't want to keep your partner up with audiobooks or music or whatever it is that you listen to if they don't also listen to audiobooks or music or what have you. So even though I'm going to end up becoming, one of the 12 people who swallowed an AirPod eventually, I do listen to my audiobooks with AirPods. And I'm a side sleeper, mostly sleep on my left side, but occasionally will sleep on my right side. And so I have one AirPod in my ear in the side of my head that is up facing toward the ceiling. But over the course of the night, I might wake up or, jostle or what have you and switch sides. And so I want to take the other AirPod, put it in my ear, take the other one and put it back in the case. And with automatic ear detection, what happens is it will pause the music or the audiobook or what have you. And this is very specific to kind of my situation. Audible, who's been a sponsor on the network, I should note, their app tends not to play well with betas, and their audio streaming is a little bit different from other platforms. And so what ends up happening inevitably is you put in a new AirPod or you start a new AirPod session, which is what happens with automatic ear detection, and it switches the audio to the music app instead of being from the Audible app. And so then I have to launch my phone, go back to the Audible app and hit play because otherwise it'll just start playing music. And that's obviously an issue because at night, you don't want to look at your phone as much as you can possibly help it, because looking at your phone, as I've talked before, will trigger your suprachiasmatic nuclei in the back of your eyes, and that will start to keep you up later or potentially affect your circadian rhythm. So all of that's to say, I have automatic ear detection turned off at night because when one AirPod comes out and the other one goes in, I don't want it to pause in between. I just want it to keep playing. However, if you are, during the day or if you're in the middle of something, I think automatic ear detection is a very good thing. And then as far as the connect to this device option, because it's different. If I was on my iPad, it would say connect to this iPad instead of connect to this iPhone. I don't know about you, Rosemary. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, but I have found this setting to be utter garbage. And so I do not use this. This, for folks who don't know, is an automatic switching feature that AirPods kind of originally, when they debuted, this was supposed to be one of the things that they offered. However, it is not as elegant a solution as one would think, where if I had my AirPods in, I could be working on my MacBook Pro and they would be working with that. And then when I moved to my iPhone and started doing a thing, then my AirPods, would automatically switch output to my iPad. And then I stand up and I walk away with my iPhone and take a call, and my AirPods would switch to that. In theory, that sounds amazing, where you don't have to switch it automatically, but you turn this feature on, and because different apps will try to play audio and different apps do, and different applications on the Mac do different things, inevitably there ends up being switching that you don't want to happen. And so I found this feature incredibly annoying, where it switched to things I didn't want it to. But I'm curious, Rosemary, because like your smart home, that somehow works, even though a lot of it happens via the external servers, which is magical to me that you don't run into issues. I'm curious if you've had this feature turned on and if it works for you.
Yeah. So actually on my iPhone, I'm just going to pull that one up there. I do actually have this turned on, and I have this turned on for all of my headphones. And I have to say, recently, I have been pleasantly surprised at how well this works. I've had a couple of friends that, I've been having longer Zoom sessions with, and the joke is always, how long is it going to take people to connect to audio when they're using AirPods? And it usually takes a while, but I have to say, I don't know if it's the iOS 15 beta or something else, but I certainly have been really, finding it to work really well. And that's great because, I pick up my headphones, I put them on, and I don't necessarily want to pop into the settings because actually from Control Center, what you can do here, it's a little difficult for me to demonstrate right now because I have screen catcher, but usually this toggle here is volume on the right-hand side next to the brightness. And if you tap and hold on that, then you can adjust things like the noise cancellation and so on if you're using AirPods Pro. But if you pop into Bluetooth and tap and hold on the Bluetooth icon, like I've just done here on the video, then you can scroll up and down and find the correct device to connect to. Those of you who are eagle-eyed might notice it says Rose's AirPods Pro 2. Mine did eventually develop that rattle, and Apple have sorted me out with a replacement, fortunately. That it's annoying to have to do that. And I found recently, I've been pleasantly surprised and impressed that I pick up my AirPods and I put them in, and whatever device I'm actively using at that moment, they connect to. But then equally, wow, I pick up my phone to text somebody back while I'm using, say, my iPad, and my headphones don't switch. I can see the battery level on them and it pops up at the top, but it doesn't actually force me to switch, which is really good. And I'm really pleased about that. So it's interesting. Though, of course, right now, every time I pick this up, it tries to connect to my Mac. And so I'm having to jump into my iPhone because otherwise I briefly lose audio. So if I miss something you say, it's because I'm demoing with AirPods.
Rosemary brings up a good point. I have not tried this in a little while because, again, with these features, if you give them a go a few times and they don't work how you expect them to, you end up not wanting to use them. And so it has been a while since I've given the automatic switching a go. So I might have to give it another try to see how they've made adjustments to it and if it works better now than it did before. Did we mention the ear tip fit test? Because I think that's a really good one.
We have not mentioned it, and we really should, because, with your AirPods Pro, they come with a couple of different tip sizes. And we'll get to the fact that why mine look different in a little bit. But you need to try them on. And then once you've done that, I'm just going to pull my AirPod Pro out of the case and pop back and make sure that it's connected. There we go, AirPods Pro. So they say they're connected now. So you can go in here and then you can do this ear tip test. I'm not actually going to do it because obviously I'm not wearing my AirPod Pro right now. Or both of my AirPods Pro, I'm using other headphones so I can actually hear and talk to Mikah. But once you do this, then it goes and it checks. And so I started out with medium tips and I thought the medium tips are really comfortable. Turns out I actually needed small. And so I switched down to small and actually got a much better audio experience, especially with the noise cancellation, because the noise cancellation is affected by how good the seal is in your ears when you try this. Now, I will say, when you do this ear tip test fit, then it won't tell you try small or large. It just tells you try a different size. So if you start out with medium, you're going to have to do some guesswork. So you might want to start at either end of the spectrum, small or large, and then see what it says if you're not sure, just because from there's only one way to go. So that could save you a little bit of time. But these are really comfortable when you've got the seal right, and the noise cancellation is very good as well.
Yes. And so a really cool thing about AirPods Pro in particular is that there is a microphone that is actually pointed towards your ear canal. So with a lot of different headphones that offer noise cancellation, they've got a microphone on the outside somewhere that is listening to the environment, because what that does is it gives the microphone or the headphones the information that it needs to produce sound waves that run opposite of the sound that's causing the issue. That's why when we talk about noise cancellation, we talk about noise cancellation working to drown out sound that is consistent and repetitive, like an airplane engine or air conditioning unit running, because the way that noise cancellation works is by sending out a sound wave that is the exact opposite sound wave of the sound that's coming in. And by doing so, thanks to physics, it just cancels it out. It makes it so that there's no sound happening. And with AirPods Pro, the microphone that's inside of the ear that's listening to the ear canal also helps inform how the AirPods should do noise cancellation and how it should produce sound. And so that is why that ear tip fit test works so well. As you're going through it, it's going to play different sounds and play some music that it then listens to and can determine, okay, that's not how it's supposed to sound inside of your ear canal, or ideally how it's supposed to sound inside of your ear canal. So that's why you should change the tip size. So yes, I started with small, then went medium and large, and just tried all three just to see what it would say. And medium was the right size for me, but it is a good thing. Now, we've got lots and lots and lots more tips to talk about, but we do want to take a quick break so I can tell you that this podcast is supported by AT&T. If there are friends and family members you haven't talked to in a while, don't worry. It's never too late to reconnect. To help, AT&T is offering deals on the latest smartphones. It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving new and existing customers their best deals on every smartphone, even the latest ones. Restrictions and exceptions may apply. Visit att.com for details. Thanks so much to AT&T for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. All right, Rosemary, what's next for the tips for the tips?
Well, I was actually take a moment to talk about the custom ear tips that I just mentioned, because I had a slight problem that even with the small tips on the AirPods Pro, I found my AirPods kind of working their way out of my ears at times. It felt like they were just sort of popping out. Now, I do occasionally get ear infections. And of course, when I do that, I try not to listen with headphones. Or if I have to listen with headphones, then I'll go for the good old over ears, because they're, not putting as much pressure on there. But I found that actually these custom or alternative rather AirPods Pro ear tips are really comfortable. And I know, Mikey, you've tried some as well. But what I like about these, so some people have bought foam ones. Foam ones are really good. They're very good for noise cancellation and insulation. But the problem with them is they've got about a 6-month shelf life. So after 6 months of usage, you're going to find that you need to replace them. And it's not that I'm cheap. It's just that I feel that, I quite like silicone. I like how it's easy to clean. I can easily just, sort of wipe it off and it's good. And so I did some digging around and somebody linked me to these. Actually, I believe it was somebody in the Mac Stories Discord. So that was really useful to have spotted that. And these they come in multiple different size options. So you can buy 3 in a box. And I think this is super small, small, and medium small. But they've got different options. So they've also got a medium small, medium large, medium large, and large. And it's $28 for the 3 pairs. And yes, you've already paid good money for the AirPods Pro, but have a look. They've got one specifically for the AirPods Pro, which is what you're going to want to look for. They've got ones that fit other kinds of earbuds as well. So if you've got other earbuds that you love, and they have swappable tips, but you find that the tips don't work for you, then have a look to see if this company or somebody else makes alternative tips, because now these devices have been out for a while. Fortunately, we're able to go and see all different options available to us. And I just grabbed these from Amazon. What ones have you tried, Mikah?
So the ones that I have are the Comply AirPods Pro ear tips. So I got the original Comply because Comply is an excellent ear tip maker. They make foam ear tips for all sorts of different headphones earbuds. The Shure earbuds, all sorts of in-ear monitors. They're really good at it. And they made some foam AirPods Pro earbud tips a while back. And I bought the first pair, the 1.0 model, and they worked for a while, but they didn't get the glue exactly right. And the plastic that they used for actually connecting to the AirPod itself wasn't where it should be. And so they released a 2.0 model, and I have had the 2.0 model and it works very well. So these seem expensive at $24.99, $25, but Comply is like top of the line. They know what they're doing. Anytime I get a pair of in-ear monitors or earbuds or anything that go inside my ears, I am going to Comply's website and finding replacements from Comply, because Comply makes excellent earbuds. So these ones, as the 2.0 model, are very good. Depending on whether you know your ear tip size, you may want to get the assorted model, assorted small, medium, and large. For me, I knew that I was a medium, and so I was just able to get the medium, and then you get 3 pairs of medium ones so that whenever the ones kind of wear out, you can just switch in the new ones. And these ones click in as you expect. They the really nice memory foam means you sort of roll your finger along the tip, and then you can pop it in your ear and it grows and fits perfectly. And they improved. I didn't think it was possible, but it actually improved upon the noise cancellation of the AirPods Pro. So yeah, they are fantastic. But I also like the ones that Rosemary showed off, because I like the mixture of foam and silicone. I think that's a cool
yeah.
option.
I'm not sure that these ones actually have any foam in them, so I'm just going to pull up off the little thing. So anybody looking on the video, it's just it's a different feel of the silicone. The silicone is slightly tackier and more rigid than the original ones, which I've got here that come with the AirPods. And so for anybody who's there going, wait, changing the AirPods Pro tips, how do I do that? So you pull the little sock, I'm going to call it, off so that it's sticking up, and then you just grab and pop. And that's actually pulled the silicone off, because I'm trying to do this at a distance so that you can see. But if you grab it nice and tight, then this bit actually will pop off. There we go. And so that's how you can change them. It's just a gentle but firm pull, and then to put them back on, it is a gentle but firm press, and voila. And I have to say, these ones for me seem to have improved noise cancellation as well. That said, I'm getting on a plane tomorrow, so I'm going to give you a full report after the fact, and we'll see whether or not there's a baby screaming on the plane and I have to resort to the AirPods Max, because I'm taking all the headphones, Mike.
I was going to say, I love that you have your full toolkit. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. AirPods Pro, AirPods Max. I mean, I've got a lot of time to kill in the airport because God knows what it's going to be like. But yes.
It's time for, we've got to go all out with these. I've got your big old AirPods and the AirPods Max in the box. Okay, let's talk about spatial audio. So we have talked before about spatial audio in general, but just a quick recap of what spatial audio is. Apple has worked out a way to provide for a sort of 3D sound experience with your AirPods devices. So what this does is it's a lot like if you've ever used Dolby Audio, or is that what it's called? It's Dolby Atmos, that's it. Then this will probably be familiar to you, or just surround sound in general, where you are watching a show, and because you've got these surround sound speakers in your home, you can hear the person walking from the right side or the person jangling their keys behind you and to the left. With spatial audio, they sort of make this possible in stereo through some different kind of phasal magic. It's kind of hard to explain the technology behind it, but let's just go with physics. And what happens is you pop in your AirPods Pro, your AirPods Max on the outside of your ears, and they can take the supported audio stream and make it feel like it is an actual sort of 3D soundstage around you. Apple Music rolled out spatial audio on Apple Music. There are several streaming platforms that support spatial audio. And then in iOS 15, if the sound source that you are listening to is stereo audio, then there is actually an option to, quote, spatialize, unquote, the stereo audio, which gives it this feeling of it being in a soundstage, but it just kind of does it automatically. I recommend not using that because I think it's not very good. It just sounds weird, but it is available. In any case, if you have AirPods Pro or AirPods Max, then and I should say an iPhone 7 or later, and then one of the more modern iPads, you will be able to take advantage of spatial audio. So let's talk about how to turn it on. Well, in your settings, there is an option. You just launch settings, you go to Bluetooth, and then you find your AirPods Pro or Max. In the list, you tap the info button. That's the little I button next to those AirPods. And then in there is an option for spatial audio, and you just flip that on. Now, there is a fun little test you could do right within the app. It says see and hear how it works, and when you tap on that, it actually takes you through. I can't show it to you now because I would have to have my AirPods in to show that, but essentially it if we can go back to that page and show the top of the page where there's the spatial audio. Yeah. So for folks who are listening, I'll kind of describe this. This is the page that shows up whenever you tap the spatial audio button. It will show you a stereo audio and a spatial audio tab. With the stereo audio tab, when you tap on it, it will just have audio coming from the left and the right. With the spatial audio tab, it will have the music kind of playing in these different spaces around you. It sort of shows a pentagon that is having audio coming from the 5 different points of that. And so then you can turn it on or turn it off from there, depending on if you like that sound or if you don't. I find it really interesting and kind of fun and different, but some people find it a little jarring and unsettling. And so it may not be for you, but in any case, you can turn it on or turn it off from there, or You can also, as Rosemary showed earlier, if we swipe down from the top right of our phone, and then you can see that my AirPods Pro are connected in by looking at the volume setting and seeing the AirPods Pro icon there. If I tap and hold on that, then on the left is noise control, and on the right is spatial audio. And if there was something playing, I could then toggle on, or, oh, there you go. Rosemary can show you where she can toggle on my
AirPods
audio.
So pro tip for anybody who, like us, may need to demo AirPods Max or AirPods Pro on a show, put them on your thigh. It works really well. So you can toggle all this here, which gives you all of the options. And if I just pop back into the settings, then I've got the spatial audio options here as well. Mine is not showing me the option to demo spatial audio. I think that's probably because I'm on iOS 15 right now. But it does have options to, do all the other things as well. So if you want to try spatial audio and you want to actually try it in real life, then I would recommend watching something from Apple TV Plus, like Ted Lasso or something, because they have it built into a lot of the shows there, which is really good. And I really enjoy that.
Yes. All right. Now let's talk about the most important thing you need to know about AirPods Pro, AirPods. It's funny. Renee Ritchie, friend of the show, Renee Ritchie, friend of the network, Renee Ritchie, and one of the hosts of Mac Break Weekly, always gives me guff about this because I am ridiculously obsessed with making sure that my AirPods are clean because I am just grossed out by we put these things in our ears, and as Rosemary pointed out earlier, especially if you are prone to ear infections, it's incredibly important that you keep these as clean as possible. Given that I listen to them each night, so they're in my ears for a long time, it's important that they stay clean. And Apple has a whole page available that tells you how to clean your AirPods Pro, your AirPods Max, and your EarPods even. And what I love is that right at the top, it starts with a question about disinfectant. It says, is it okay to use a disinfectant on my AirPods, AirPods Pro, AirPods Max, or EarPods? Using a 70% isopropyl alcohol wipe, 75% ethyl alcohol wipe, or Clorox disinfecting wipes, yes, the brand, you may gently wipe the exterior surfaces of your AirPods, etc. Don't use it on the speaker mesh of your AirPods, etc. Don't use it on the knit mesh canopy and ear cushions of your AirPods Max. And don't use products containing bleach or hydrogen peroxide. That makes sense because both of those are bleaching products or products that will leach out color. Avoid getting moisture in any of the openings, and don't submerge your AirPods, etc., in any cleaning agents. So essentially, you don't want to run your AirPods underwater, but you do want to give them a good clean. Your AirPods Max, of course, are different from your AirPods and AirPods Pro. Apple suggests using a soft, dry, lint-free cloth.
I would recommend if you're wanting to clean AirPods Max, you just lift off the foam cover, because this should really stay dry. And if these get really, really dirty, you can buy replacements of these from Apple. And then they just magnetize back on in with a quite satisfying thunk, actually. I'll do that again just for everybody who wants to listen to that, because that is, it's being really quiet now. Of course it is. But yes, it's these are really easy to pop off, and you can gently sponge at them a little bit. I have done that, because I got makeup on my ones.
And I also recommend you can head over to Amazon or somewhere else and look up hearing aid cleaning tools that will give you a whole group of, there are typically these little brushes where there's a brush on one side, and then on the other side is a sort of metal loop. And you can use that metal loop to scrape along, and I know this gets gross, but it is what it is, scrape along that mesh to remove any wax that is there. And then the brush can be used to further. Because if you just wipe down the wax, you're typically going to be pushing it into the mesh, and so then it stays longer, and obviously you don't want that. So this is a great way to sort of remove the wax from your AirPods Pro, etc., because that is often the reason why folks end up having the noise or the sound, the volume decrease over time. It's not it's not necessarily a hardware issue so much as it is that wax gets built up in there, unfortunately, and starts to block the sound, which is just gross. But it is the way of things. And so, yes, a really easy way to deal with that is just getting a little brush and sort of scoop that will help you keep your AirPods clean. Any other tips we want to give about AirPods before we move on?
Well, I do just want to take a moment to talk about this. And for people not watching, this is the case that comes with the AirPods Max. It is perhaps the most ridiculous case I've ever seen. It's not a case so much as a bikini top. So what I would suggest, if somebody is looking and, travel is starting again now and they're looking for a way to travel with their AirPods Max, but they're not going to be wearing them on their head all the time. They want to be able to put them in a bag and they're concerned about how safe this mesh at the top is going to be. It's fairly good. You can buy third-party AirPods Pro cases. This is just something I picked up off of Amazon. What I like about this is it's got a little pocket inside. So if you have the ridiculously expensive cable to connect these to a 3.5 millimeter jack, you can pop that in there. But this has got a little flap here. And so if I wanted to leave my AirPods in their original case and pop them in, I can do that. But equally, if I want to take, and this is a little difficult to do on the microphone, take my AirPods out of their original case and then put them in here, this little flap in the middle, it's difficult to do when I'm not looking at it allows your AirPods to actually turn off and then they stay off. Okay, so they're using less battery. It's this little magnetic flap here that helps them do that. So that is something important to note if you're looking for an AirPods Max case. I also know Waterfield makes some nice cases. They've got a bit of a waiting list and lots of other companies as well make suitable cases for the AirPods Pro or AirPods Max, sorry, if you are looking for something like that. But personally, I like this one. That little pocket there, it's got an AirTag in it as well, just because, AirTags on all of my AirPods, it seems. I lost one pair and that was enough for me. So now everything's got an AirTag on it.
Yes, never lose them ever again. All right, folks, we have a lot of news to get to next, but I do want to take one more break. It is time to rest easy and know that this episode of iOS Today is brought to you by Casper. You out there can love your tomorrow with Casper. The new Casper Cooling Collection has everything you need to help you sleep cool all night long. Casper's mattresses with new snow technology, hyperlight sheets, lightweight duvets, and breathable mattress protector are all designed to keep you cool and comfortable so you can't help but love your tomorrow. Tomorrow is a new day, so you can make the most of it with Casper's new cooling collection. Casper's Wave Hybrid Snow Mattress, it keeps you cool for 12 plus hours, pulling heat away from your body for sustained temperature regulation, a cool to the touch feeling, and a much improved tomorrow. There's better bedding that makes for a better tomorrow, which is why Casper's Hyperlight Sheets are designed with an innovative grid weave that lets air flow through for maximum breathability. The lightweight duvet provides optimal temperature control without sacrificing plush comfort, and Casper's breathable mattress protector improves the coolness of the bed even further by allowing air to flow between your body and the mattress. All of these are designed to work together to prevent overheating all night, because cooler sleep means better sleep, and better sleep means better tomorrows. I love my Casper mattress, my Casper pillows, my Casper sheets, my Casper box spring, my Casper foundation. I've got all the Casper stuff because sleep is incredibly important to me. So incredibly important to me. And I can't help but want the best that I possibly can have. And for me, that's Casper. Helps me sleep, helps me stay cool, and I love it. Oh, and by the way, if you are a little worried about, getting a new Casper mattress and, well, what if I'm not so sure that I like it? I think you will, but don't worry, because as always, Casper offers free shipping and free returns. So if you need to make that return, you can. When it comes to a better night's sleep, Casper's new cooling collection has you covered. You can focus on tomorrow and let Casper handle the rest. Explore Casper products, the mattresses, sheets, pillows, and more at casper.com/iOS today, and use code iOS today for $100 off select mattresses. That's code iOS today for $100 off select mattresses. Exclusions apply. See casper.com for more details. Alrighty, folks, it is time to move on to the news. And up first, we have the announcement. Apple has officially announced that September 14th will be its next event. And as is typical, we can expect this is Apple's iPhone event. The next iPhone will be unveiled. The iPhone 13, is it? And we will get more information about that. I am also hopeful that we will get the announcement of a new set of AirPods Pro. But that's still up in the air. We'll see. But my AirPods Pro are howling and clicking, and this is like the fourth or fifth time that I have had to have them replaced by Apple, and now they're out of warranty, so it's even more of a process to make that happen. So I'm just looking to get some new ones that maybe don't have that howling and clicking problem, because it's ridiculous that I've had to have them replaced so much. So you can tell what I'm looking forward to at this event. But in any case, we've got another event. I feel like I just got this iPhone.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
I mean, I know I did just get this iPhone because I recently switched to the mini. It turns out I love the mini size. It was a test and it stuck. And the Pro is now a test device. But I literally just got this, and I'm there going, but do I want a new one? What are Apple going to do to make me buy a new one? A Pro Mini, that would work. But let's see.
Yeah. So I'm curious, Rosemary. We've had my favorite, midnight green, and then we've had blue. What do you think is the next Pro color that they're going to do?
Selfishly, I want a dark purple. I love this lilac. I also love that you can get cables that match. This is an anchor cable, and it matches the iPhone really well. I'm really pleased with it. It's their flex cables, I think. But I mean, lilac's nice, but a nice dark purple, I would be all over that. That could be very pretty, like a plum. Yeah. Plum, maybe an aubergine, eggplant for the Americans, something like that. Actually, I've got a little Lego kit here behind me, the Everyone is Awesome kit. The purple from that would be great. I really love that purple. So something along those lines, a little sparkle to it, maybe some magic in there. But yeah, I think a purple iPhone would be good.
So what else? I mean, we know that we're going to see iPhone, and also this means that we will probably get the launch day for iOS 15. And the next version of the OSs. Sometimes Mac OS is announced at this event in terms of when it'll come. Sometimes it's not. We'll see. But anything else you're hoping for? Like I said, mine is definitely AirPods, a new version of them. Anything else that you're hoping to see at this September 14th event?
I'm really not sure. I would love to see somehow a mini magically with more battery life, and specifically in the Pro line. I don't think we're going to see it, but I think, having all the sizes available across the lineup, obviously it's more difficult for Apple to produce and manufacture all of these, and there's no guarantee that they would do that. But I would love a mini with 3 cameras in it. That would be brilliant. That is the one thing I miss from my Macs, to the point where I briefly considered taking my Macs on holiday with me next week, and then I realized, hey, I could take an actual camera. So I'm doing that instead because that seems like a good idea. I think it's been confirmed it's not going to be USB-C, and there's not going to be Touch ID built in. The iPad Air does have Touch ID built into the power button, which I thought was really cool. But so many iPhone cases cover the power button that's not going to work. So I don't know what we're going to see there. But, I think, as always, it's probably going to be a bit more power hungry. We've currently got, 20-watt chargers? Maybe they'll go higher, 25 or so. But we're going to have to wait and see. Lots of people are expecting a smaller notch. The notch is, it's not huge, but it could be smaller. So, yeah, I mean, that would be nice. And this idea of a 1 terabyte maximum, I can see some people going for that, but I don't know how many people. Personally, I prefer to have a terabyte of storage in my iPad than an iPhone. But what about you, Micah?
So James reminded me that the other thing we're likely to see is the Apple Watch, the next version of the Apple Watch. I certainly would love to have more screen real estate, but there is some back and forth on. So we're pretty sure, given the different rumors that have come out and from specific people that from whom they've come, that we will see a new Apple Watch with larger screen. But what's unclear is if this means that for the first time since the launch of the iPhone, we will have a change in band sizes. That would be kind of scary because for as long as the Apple Watch has existed, Apple has maintained the band size, meaning that all of the bands that people have bought over the years fit the Apple Watch. And, people have wondered, will there come a point when Apple, wants to make a change that will allow for them to, that requires them to, go a new way with the bands? I personally don't think that they're going to switch to a new band size. I think that they will continue to support the bands that are already in existence, but we'll see, because the screen size, there are some compelling arguments, I should say, for needing to have new bands given the screen size. But I don't know. Apple is certainly it's certainly well known for making choices that aren't quite consumer friendly in terms of switching ports or switching cables or removing headphone jacks and things like that. So I can't completely discount the idea, but at the same time, the history suggests that Apple will continue to support the current bands that they have. So we'll see. I'm just curious though, Rosemary, do you think that this next Apple Watch will require new bands, or will it continue to support the ones that people have? I
don't think it will. And I'm just going to pop off part of the Apple Watch band on my watch, because at the moment, for people who are watching the video, you can see that, there's this angle here. And from what I'm seeing, it looks like the new bands in the mock-ups are just going to go a little bit straighter in there, rather than off to a slant that they currently do. But speaking of Apple Watch bands not fitting anymore, there was actually an issue with the Series 4 Apple Watch where Apple changed the way that the bands slide in a little bit. And this didn't affect Apple bands. Apple bands still fitted and worked perfectly. But third-party manufacturers like JUK, they make some really lovely metal bands for the Apple Watch, including a wonderful rainbow one that I have. I should have worn it today in hindsight. But I didn't have time because they announced this right as we started the show. But when the Series 4 came out, if you bought it before, it didn't fit. And so they had to go and remanufacture a whole bunch of things. Fortunately, it was just changing out the two connecting links on each strap, and they helped out their customers there and did a really fabulous job. So props to the folks behind Juke Design. But it wouldn't be entirely surprising if third-party bands didn't quite fit the new watch. So we're gonna have to cross our fingers and see. I have a huge Apple Watch band collection, mostly third-party ones from AliExpress and Amazon and eBay and so on. So I'm crossing my fingers that they all fit, because I love having all of those color options available to me.
Oh, I'm nervous. I'm definitely nervous. All right. We should move on to the rest of the news here. First of all, SkyGuide, which we have talked before on this show a few times, an excellent app for being able to look at constellations and learn more about space in general. All of that together. It's gotten a huge update, and it's at version 10 now, SkyGuide version 10. Although they could pronounce it X, I don't know. In any case, this new version is it's jam-packed full of new features, including some beautiful aurora stuff. So you can see the beautiful auroras in the sky, and even more information and detail with constellations. SkyGuide is one of those apps where it's like, yes, it's expensive, but I should say it can get expensive, but it is so worth it if you have a place you can go to look at the night sky and you use this to help learn about the constellations and spot them in the sky. The augmented reality features just send this to a whole new level.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to trying this out. I've tried it out a little bit here, and I'm going to be trying it on my travels over the next week or so. So it's a lovely update from what I've seen so far, and I'm really enjoying it. It's one of those that I periodically subscribe to for a month, and then I give it a little while, and then I go back to it because it's just such a great app. And yeah, I really love it.
Yeah. Up next, you can see. So Apple recently launched a program for folks who have iPhone 12 devices that have no sound. This is a specific issue going on with some iPhone 12 devices. It happens to enough of them. They released, or that they announced, a program to help people get replacements for their devices. 9to5Mac has a little article showing you how to check if your iPhone 12 is part of that program, so that you can get a replacement device, or get your device fixed, I should say, through this program. So there's a tool by going into Apple support that will let you figure out whether or not your iPhone 12 falls under this program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is important to note here that if you've got any other damage to your device, for example, the screen is cracked or something, you are going to have to get that fixed before, or with Apple before, they're going to fix this problem as well. Which means, if you're there going, I think I'm just going to upgrade, in a week or so, then maybe hold off right now. But if you're planning on keeping it or passing the device down, then definitely look into that and get that sorted. I know at least one person who's been affected by this, so it's great that it's been fixed.
Mm-hmm. Indubitably. Now, this is good news for those folks out there who have played Crossy Road and want another way to play it, and want a way to play it where it's not a freemium app. Crossy Road is coming soon to Apple Arcade, so you will be able to play it with the beauty that is Apple Arcade, meaning it's a subscription service that gives you access to ad-free versions of apps, of games. And Crossy Road, very popular. Very, very popular.
Yeah. It's one of the first games I believe I installed on my Apple TV, and it's been great fun. And I love the fact that it's now going to be available on the iPhone and the iPad as well. It is one of those games that I find easier to play with a controller for anybody who's there going, oh gosh, this is a bit tricky on the Apple TV remote. Controllers like an Xbox controller are well worth it. Also, Zen Pinball Party, MasterChef Let's Cook, and Layton's Mystery Journey launched on Apple Arcade last Friday. So if you're looking for some more games to check out on Apple Arcade, then those are just a couple of them.
Excellent. And then the last bit of news before Rosemary runs us through some different products that have been announced is that AirTags are getting a new firmware update. So you may find that you have a new firmware update. Now, it's unclear what the update has provided. In fact, Mac Rumors here says it's probably just some kind of bug fixes and improvements to the technology that aren't well known, but it's something that it's something that happens automatically. So it's an over-the-air update. You can't really hop in and say, oh, I want to update my AirTags. You just have to kind of let it happen. So when your AirTags are in range of your iPhone, then they may trigger that firmware update and get the latest version going. So if you want to, though, to see if your AirTags are running the latest build, it's 1A291C, and you do that by going into the Find My app and then finding your AirTag there and being able to see what build of the firmware you have for your AirTags. All right, Rosemary Orchard, tell us about these new products that are different accessories.
So, MagSafe, there is Apple have actually filed an FCC filing this recently for a new MagSafe adapter. But MagSafe accessories are coming out of the woodwork left, right, and center. And one of them is from Joby, who are the maker of the Gorilla Pod, which is that flexible tripod, which is great. You can sort of wrap it around the back of a chair or something, or hang it on a sign so that you can get a really great shot. And they have announced a grip type mount for MagSafe. So what it does is it magnetizes onto the back of your iPhone and it wraps around the sides as well. And so it can optionally do both of those, which means it gets a really great grip on your iPhone, which of course, if you're doing crazy shots, then you might want that. They also have a wall mount for it, for the iPhone, which I'm curious about. I've previously used a pop socket wall mount, mount in my kitchen just to hang my phone there. So it was kind of off the counter, but still easy to view while I was cooking. And I think MagSafe might be better. Yeah, I'm going to give at least one of those a trial to see what it's like, because it looks pretty cool.
Definitely. What's next?
Well, next is Nomad. So Nomad, I think, Mikey, you've had some of their cases before. They make really, good high quality accessories for iPhones. And they have announced a new base station mini with magnetic alignment. So essentially, this is a small MagSafe-like charger, only it's squarish instead of circular. But the idea is it stays on your desk or your bedside cabinet or nightstand, whatever it is, and you leave it there, and then you just pop your iPhone on, and it just magnetizes into place. They do have another larger one, which also has other charges on it, which is why this one is the mini. But it works really nicely as a charger. It's not officially MagSafe because MagSafe components have to come from Apple, but it magnetizes into place. And I have to say, my Anker magnetic charger, which is using a similar technology, works really well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nomad have done a fabulous job here.
I have the Nomad base station, the larger one, where it's got kind of, I think it's 3 different coils inside. Actually, it's multiple coils to let you charge. And so this is just the smaller version of that, which it's a really nice way to just have one little beautiful leather and aluminium spot to drop a device. So I love Nomad's style and the choices that they make there. And then, the Base Station Pro is the one that I have. It uses free power technology, which was kind of the third-party take on Apple's AirPower. So you can put your devices down anywhere on that pad, up to 3 of them, and they will charge wirelessly. It's a pretty cool technology and if you scroll down, Anthony, I think it'll show the actual coil inside. Yeah, well, maybe it's even farther than that. I don't remember where it is, but there is. Yeah, there we go. So for folks who are listening and not watching, there's a part of the page that shows the free power technology, and underneath it there are these little hexagons that have that are all kind of little charging coils, and they bundle up almost to provide the power needed for the specific device that you have on top. So that lets you set your position your device anywhere on top of it. But the Base Station Mini is just a miniature. It looks the same as this bigger one, but this is just for, you can put your AirPods on it or any Qi style device on top of it. And it's a really nice way to do it. And as Rosemary pointed out, it's got the magnetic alignment built in. So that you can make sure that you're getting kind of the best charge possible with that. But Nomad has done a good job of combining design and functionality together to make this device. And then what's last on the list?
Last on the list is 12 South, and they are makers of many popular accessories from cases to stands, including even a picture frame with a Qi charger built in if you want something pretty that you can also charge your phone on. And they've all just announced a pocket-sized version of their Stay Go, which is a hub that can stay or go with you. And the idea is that you can plug this right into your iPad Pro. And among other things, it gives you a 3.5 millimeter cable option so that you can connect your headphones to it. It's also got USB-A, HDMI, and USB-C, which can do power charging pass-through as well. So it's a really small device. I have a larger, similar type of thing from Hyper, which also happens to have SD card slot and some other things in it, which is useful. But if I didn't already have that, I would be getting this just because it is a small device. It comes with an extension cable, so you could actually use this to plug into a Mac as well. We use the same connector on both. Or you can, just plug this into, the cable for your iPad. If you've got, say, for example, a chunky case on there, as is being demoed in the video, those cables are designed to slide right in. But it looks like a really useful device. It's $60. So if people are looking for something that works with their iPad and lets them connect, say, an external hard drive and HDMI, then this is perfect for that.
God, 12 South knows what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, they do.
All right, folks, time to grab that steering wheel and turn because we're headed to Shortcuts Corner next. Ha-ha! Welcome to Shortcuts Corner, the part of the show where you send in your shortcuts, requests, and questions, and Rosemary Orchard, our shortcuts expert, gives you the answer you're looking for. In many cases, at least. Today, we have a couple of questions here. The first one comes from Quadratic, who writes, can I trigger an automation on my Apple TV waking? I have an incredible sounding but power-hungry old stereo amplifier driving audio from my TV setup, and I would love to have it just turn on when the Apple TV wakes up. I have it on a Wise smart plug and can control it with shortcuts via IFTTT webhooks, but I can't figure out how to have it automatically turn on when I fire up the Apple TV. Interesting.
Yeah. So there was actually quite a bit of discussion about this in the Club to It Discord, which was really great because the solution that everybody came up with, which I believe Quadratic is going to go with, is actually a very standard primary and secondary power extension cable. So you've got the primary, and that one controls the other sockets. Sometimes these are called master slave socket setups, but primary secondary is the proper term to use here. So basically, it means that when the main thing turns on, then the other accessories can come on as well, which usually you would use this with the actual TV turning on in the primary socket, and then it would allow things like the Apple TV and everything else to come on as well. But if you plug those power-hungry speakers into that, then that is the correct solution. Now, I am just going to answer this from an automation standpoint as well, because it is possible. It's perhaps a little tricky to do. With the YC Smart Plug with HomeKit, it's probably not possible. I don't remember if YC are HomeKit compatible. But if you create a new automation, you say an accessory is controlled, I'm just going to scroll down to, I've got a room called television with my television lights in there, but I do actually have my TV in here. And if you go through your Apple TV settings and set it up in HomeKit properly, then your Apple TV should show up in HomeKit as well. But I can say when my TV turns on, then go ahead, run one of my scenes, toggle something on, for example, some lights or something, or I could turn on my kitchen TV if I wanted to. But if you have speakers, then that is the correct solution. For me, I need to actually add an automation to pause the playback on my HomePod in the living room when I turn on the TV, because I don't want all of that audio playing at the same time. It's a little too much input. But yeah, so I think the correct answer here is actually not using an automation at all. It's just buying some good old-fashioned hardware to do the trick. But it's certainly possible with automation too.
Nice. And I love that this has turned into a little bit of a community thing where different folks have different suggestions and that it all works together there. This next one comes from Josh, who writes, is there any way to make a shortcut to toggle system VPN connections? Josh, I too have struggled with this in the past. I just wanted to not even toggle, but just check if a VPN was turned on or off. And I had to go to a third-party app to do that. But yes, tell us, Rosemary, what third-party app to use and how it works.
Well, so it really depends on what VPN you're using, right? So if you're using NordVPN, ExpressVPN, who sponsored Twit before, OpenVPN, quite a few VPN apps, they have actions inside of shortcuts so that you can, turn it on, turn it off, etc. And probably, depending on the app, check whether or not the VPN is running as well. But what I am using, I've just realized that I modified my shortcut to show a secondary one. So I just need to quickly pop open this, and then I can show you, there's a great app. We've talked about this before. It's called Toolbox Pro. And it has an action called check if connected to VPN. So if I just allow this, so you need to allow access, and then it crashes my iPhone. Always a great sign. This is what happens when you run betas, apparently. Let's try running it here. Okay, cool. It runs. It just crashes my iPhone right now. But what I've done is I've created a shortcut, and it's in the show notes. I don't know if you've had a chance to download it, Mike, or if you have, then maybe you could pop it up on your screen. But it checks whether or not the VPN is connected, and it shows you the VPN is on with a green check mark, or the VPN is off with a red cross, and then gives you a menu, and it gives you the option to toggle your VPN or do nothing. And to toggle the VPN, you can't actually toggle it in shortcuts. The best you can do is open the settings, which should take you to the right area of settings. So it's taking me to general and then VPN and device management. So I don't have any VPN set up on this iPhone right at this second, but I do have ExpressVPN option there. Sorry, I'm not connected to a VPN right now. I'm on my home network. It's safe and secure, but I could, go ahead and turn on ExpressVPN. So that is something that you will need to do. Now, it's probable that with iOS 15 that this URL is going to change. So I'm going to make a recommendation for everybody, and that is check out Mac Stories, because Mac Stories has a whole page with all of these different settings URLs, and they do get updated when people let them know which ones are the new ones. And it's a great resource of places to find things like that, so you can jump straight into the right area of settings for this.
Yes.
So there we go. That works on iOS 14 right now. iOS 15, hopefully we'll have an update in the not too distant future.
Yes. For me, I use ExpressVPN. By the way, they have long been a sponsor of the Twit Network. But with that, the way that I do it is it checks if my VPN is turned on, and then instead of doing it in settings, I just have it launch the ExpressVPN app, because I like the big power button in the middle of ExpressVPN. So if it's not, I just do an if then statement. If it's not turned on, it launches ExpressVPN. I can tap that big old button and turn it on, and then go to what I want. If it is turned on, then it goes ahead and launches the browser, so that I can do what I was doing with the VPN turned on. But in any case, yes, third-party app is the helpful thing there, and it'll be nice in the future when we can do that. All right, we should move on to our feedback and questions segment. And this first question comes from Nathan. Nathan writes, is there a way that when you answer your phone, it goes directly to speakerphone? This is for the car. I have a third-party Bluetooth puck that plugs into aux, or auxiliary, and it isn't loud. Speaker is perfectly loud. Default is the phone, which of course I can't hear at all. Nathan, I have got some good news for you. This is something that you can do. We'll include a link in the show notes to an OS X daily article. But the good thing is it's very simple to do. On your phone, you will launch the settings app. You will scroll down to accessibility. You will tap on, let's see, call audio routing. Wait. I got to remember where it is on here. I think it's under, is it under audio visual? Oh man, now I forgot.
I am also looking for you, Micah. Don't worry, two of us on this. Call audio routing is under accessibility touch, Micah.
Interesting.
So a little pro tip for people, if they're looking for a weird setting on iOS and they can't find it, if you scroll up in the settings app and then you tap in the search bar, then you can type the name of the setting and then you will be able to just jump straight to it. This works with VPN as well, by the way.
A very good setting, or a very good tip. So once you get to that, so again, we launch the settings app, we choose accessibility, and then we tap touch. If we scroll down, you will see an option for call audio routing. And right now mine is set to automatic, but you, Nathan, would change that to speaker, and then audio will be heard via the speaker instead of automatic or a Bluetooth headset. So very simple thing to do. And you can do it today to make sure that it's set to speaker. All right. Steve writes in, is there any way to have notifications actually announce the notification instead of saying bing bong to have you open your phone? Can it actually say time to leave for your 1 o'clock appointment? Rosemary?
Well, it depends. So if you just wanted to speak all of the time for you, Steve, then I'm afraid the bad news is you can't have it do that. But if you are connected to AirPods or actually CarPlay as well, then it can absolutely announce your notifications for you. And it will specifically announce messages with Siri. It doesn't speak out every individual item. But what you can do is you can turn on announce messages with Siri. And that is an option in the settings under notifications. You can toggle on announce messages with Siri, or my personal preference is actually inside of the control center. There's this little speaker, there's this little bell with some sound waves on it. And if I turn that on, or if I had the appropriate devices connected and I turned that on, it would go red. And then I would see that it's going to announce all of my audio. So what you can do is you can turn that on in the control center options. So if you scroll down here, then there is the option for announce notifications. There it is. And it's already on. Don't get confused with sound recognition. That has sound waves on it, but you're looking for the red icon that's got a bell and some sound waves in the top right to turn that on. And this works with AirPods and CarPlay. It does work with third-party applications like WhatsApp and Telegram. So if people are messaging you with those, then it can do that. But unfortunately, it can't speak out every single notification, at least to my knowledge. There may be an accessibility option for this, but I have a feeling it uses voiceover, which might get a little bit annoying and interfere with your usage of your phone.
Yeah. All right. I think, yeah. One more from Steve. Steve writes in to say, what is the best way to capture a web page as a PDF? Can you do it while keeping the links live? Oh, Steve, this is a really good question, because I run into this issue sometimes.
Yeah. And so there's a couple of different ways. So if you open a web page on your iPhone or your iPad, so I've got the Twit website here, and then you take a screenshot, and that's the power and the volume up. When you tap on that screenshot icon, there should be the option, and of course it's not doing this for me here. It does work on the iPad to say capture web page. So I'm going to try opening something else. I'll just try New York Times, maybe, if I can type New York Times. There we go. And then I'll just open an article. And so if I take a screenshot, then it should have the option. It usually has the option, of course, to capture the full web page. But what you can also do under the share sheet option is if you scroll down and you go to the print option, this always works. If you just use that 2-finger pinch on the preview, then you get a PDF. And then it should keep the links live. Now, sometimes it does keep the links live. Sometimes it doesn't keep the links live. Of course, I've managed to choose something here that doesn't have links in it, apparently. So if I cancel that and I go back to the Twit website, I've just tapped for a little extra tip for people. If you tap and hold on the back button, you'll see your previous websites so that you don't have to waste so much time tapping the back button and waiting for things to save. So again, I'm going to go down to print. And then pinch and zoom. And there we go, the latest tech podcast and everything. And then if I save this, which is what you're going to need to do before you can check out those links, because obviously Safari is occupied right now. So saved files. And I'll just pop that in downloads and give it a moment to think about live, because this is a full, beautiful PDF with lots of images in. So it might take a moment. Then you can pop open files, and inside of files, under the recents option, when it loads something, there we go. Here we go. So now, unfortunately, these links are not live, and I don't quite know why some websites don't render live links and other websites do. And I've tried doing this with Shortcuts as well, and I found that Shortcuts has exactly the same problem as the screenshot or the print option with keeping links live. And I know, Mikah, you're a big fan of Keep It, and that can make PDFs. And I know that keeps the links live. And I use DevonThink as well for a lot of these things, and that can keep links live as well. But do you have any other recommendations?
No, I think that you came up with the best one there, or the best ones there, especially using a third-party app like Keep It, which lets you save as like a web archive. You can save it as a PDF or any number of other formats, and all of those, save for just being a screenshot, are going to hold on to those links. A very good question that you asked, and I think that a lot of people end up wanting to save a particular web page or what have you and be able to click on a link within it. And it can be kind of annoying whenever certain system settings or certain features will flatten the PDF and just make it unlinkable. So there are lots of options out there to do that. And I think that you cover the gamut there, especially at the end whenever you mentioned a few apps that work for that. Yeah. All right. Folks, we are just about to the end of the episode, which means it's time for App Caps. This is the part of the show where we wear caps atop our head to honor our app picks of the week, or just picks of the week. These are the apps or gadgets we're loving right now, or ones that maybe we've used for a long time that we want to share with all of you. And it is always paired with a nice cap. Rosemary Orchard, tell us about the cap atop your head and your app pick of the week.
Well, the cap atop my head is a Robin Hood hat, or at least that's what I'm calling it this week. It's a green number. It's got a red band. It's got a little red trim around the brim. And of course, it's got a lovely white feather, which has seen slightly better days. But, that's beside the point. So the app that I want to talk about today is a really useful app for people who may find themselves in an emergency situation at some point and need to give their precise location to somebody who's going to come for help. As those of you who live on long streets know, giving somebody the street name, not particularly useful. Well, the good news is there's an app for that, and it's called What 3 Words. So I've scrolled over to the right-hand side of the UK, and I'm going to go down to Canterbury because they have some lovely places in Canterbury. And specifically, I'm looking for the Canterbury Cathedral. And if I said to somebody, I'm at the Canterbury Cathedral, that's fine. But there's quite a bit of area around here, which is not super precise. What 3 Words gives you 3 words to find a very small square on the grid. So if I tap here, then look, Belly commented famous. Wow. Well, this is quite useful. And I can share this with, the share sheet and all of those options. I could navigate to that, and I can save this as well. But of course, you can use this to take a photo and things like that. That was not the button I was intending to tap. But what I also love with What 3 Words, and this is something that's really useful. If you wanted to say build an emergency shortcut and you wanted to give people a tip as to where you are, look, you can get your location from What 3 Words. So you can get a location for a specific What 3 Words address, or if I can type What 3 Words, then you can also get your What 3 Words address from a specific location, e.g. your current location. And that would help people find you. And then you could have that, say, messaged off to somebody so that you could give Siri a command or your Apple Watch, and then it would send that information off, and hopefully somebody will come to your rescue should you need it. Fingers crossed nobody's going to need this, but, if you do, it's a great app to have. And I'd recommend having it installed on your phone so that, should you be witness to something, then you can use this to find, or to get help and to be able to tell people precisely where this is. If you tell ambulance services or so on, my What 3 Words address is, and then those 3 words, then they will be able to locate you as well, at the very least in the US and the UK, and I suspect many other locations as well. I should say those 3 words are all English words. So if you're dealing with people in another language, then you may find that it doesn't translate quite as well, just because, there are 3 English words. And of course, as some of us know, the TH sound is a little difficult for those people who speak some languages and, other things. English is a weird language, but it is very helpful in general to have as an app. Mikah, what's your app cap?
I really need to head into the studio and get my in-ear monitors because this headphone situation is not going to be, it's not tenable. Anyway, the one that I want to talk about, it's an app that's been around for a long time, made by Readle, and it was a file Explorer app on iPad before we had files for iPad OS. And it has just come out with the version 10 of the app, and that is Documents by Readle. And now it's in its 10th version. So Documents by Readle is this excellent app for managing documents on your iOS devices, your iPad devices. And the newest version adds some fun new features. So I'm going to switch over to my iPad here just so you can see. I saved this walkthrough for the show so that we could go through it together. It talks about all the different things. So first of all, it makes it much easier to get to the content that's available in the cloud. It's got a new design, and then smart actions that will give you options for depending on what kind of files you're working with. So let's explore now. So one example of this is that my dog, I was working on their health records to update them for the new vaccines that they needed to get. And so this app itself is a PDF document editor. You can see some other things in here, like an HTML document. And one of the things about this app that I got this in the first place because annoyingly, the Files app for iOS does not let you change the file extension on a file, but with Documents by Readle, you are able to change that extension. What I like too is that it gives you easy access to your iPad photo library, iTunes files. That's a way for you to drop in files that you can then sync to your computer using the old school iTunes thing. Not so much an issue anymore, but back in the day before we had easy movement between our iOS and iPadOS devices and the computer, that was the way to go about moving files through there. You can download things directly from this app. So there's an included browser. There's also a virtual private network that is Readle's own virtual private network. And then again, recent files, then connections. So you can see on the left, I've got a connection to my Dropbox and to my Google Drive. If I tap on this plus button here, you can see the different connections that are available. There's Dropbox, Google Drive Box, OneDrive, Yandex, SharePoint, a WebDev server, Windows SMB server, an FTP server, and an SFTP server. So there are all these different connections that you can use to access different files that are available. And then let me tap on the little settings icon over here so you can see some of the things that are available here. This is a really powerful app. If you are in other apps, then it would open those in My Files, but you could also choose to have it open in Documents in iCloud instead. So that's like if you are, say, in Safari and you tap on a file and hold, and you then hit Documents in the share sheet, this would then open that file and save it to the My Files section. If you scan using this app, you can choose what scanner you want, either Scanner Pro or the built-in iOS scanner. When you download, you can choose where it saves. Again, file name extensions, very handy here. Showing photos and iTunes files. I'm going to turn iTunes files off because I don't use that. Even choosing your preferred mail client, as well as being able to index the content that's there so that you can find it. And then full text indexing of individual iWork, HTML, and Microsoft Office documents so that instead of it just being the file name that you're looking for, you can find more than that. Security, you can lock it with a passkey. You can do the basic data protection of iOS. Blocking external links in the HTML viewer so that it doesn't load those whenever you're looking at an HTML document, and then custom keyboards if you want to block those as well. You can add or remove things from the sidebar, including the computer folder, which is on, in this case, being it on iPad, would show you kind of the stuff that's available for you to see. There are built-in Siri shortcuts so that you could, for example, connect to a computer over this, turn on the Readle VPN or off the Readle VPN. This lets you play music, including lossless files, which is kind of nice. There's the PDF viewer, which has lots of options for not only viewing all sorts of styles of PDF, but also for making adjustments to them. The audio player and the video player. It has, as I said, a built-in browser. You can change the search engine for it, different clouds that you might use to save things to. the web dev server to set up, and then, of course, just some other options there. So this is just a kind of one-stop shop file network place to access your files, but also to make adjustments to the different pages. So here I've got an HTML document. If I tap on the right there, you can see that I could print this document. I could, if other people had documents, the Documents app, they could launch that and be able to access it. You can email it easily. You can turn it into a PDF. And then do the PDF editing and everything like that. You can do a file reduction. There's so many different features in this. And the reason why this is so powerful is because, again, they made this before you could do many of these things on iOS and iPad OS itself. This came at a time whenever folks didn't have access to these tools. And so it's been around for such a long time, and they continue to improve and iterate upon it. And here's the new Actions pane, where you can import from your photos, you can import from files, or you can import from a local computer. And then some of the actions that are available right now, including creating a new folder, creating a PDF, scanning in a document, creating a text file, taking a photo and saving it there, or adding a new connection, and then also imports from different Google Drives or Dropboxes or what other cloud services you've accessed. Documents 10 or X, I don't know which one they choose, is available for free, and it has in-app purchases to give you those extra powers, including PDF editing and some other very powerful tools that are there. But I think the Smart Actions thing is really cool because maybe there are some things that you do regularly. If we could scroll up just really quick, there was a Dropbox example. It says upload a file to Dropbox and Documents, and then it suggests you share a link. So, typically you upload to Dropbox, you wait for it to finish, you tap the share button, you tap create a link, and then you can finally share it. With the one action, it can do all of that automatically. You don't have to do as much. It can be automated there. So some really neat automation features in the new version of Documents by Riedel. And they continue to make some exceptional quality apps. And I wanted to give Documents by Riedel a shout out for being what it is. Whew. All right. Excuse me. We have reached the end of another episode of iOS Today, which means it is time to say goodbye. If you have iOS Today questions, feedback, Shortcuts Corner requests, any of that stuff, the best way to get a hold of us is by emailing us. It's iostoday@twit.tv. But you can also message us in the Discord or tweet with the hashtag AskIOSToday. We record the show live now every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And soon I will do the math to figure out what that means in different times. But we are back to the old time of 9 a.m. Pacific on Tuesdays, which is very exciting. And honestly, the best way to get the show, so you don't even have to worry about the time, is by going to twit.tv/iOS and subscribing to the show in audio or video formats on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, YouTube, basically all the places. That's a great way to join the fun and make sure you get the show as soon as it's available. I should also mention, since I mentioned the Discord, you should absolutely check out all of our shows ad-free, or you should get all of our shows ad-free. And you can do that by joining Club Twit for $7 a month. That's going to get you every Twit show with no ads. You'll get access to the exclusive Twit Plus bonus feed that has extra content you won't find anywhere else, and the members-only Discord server where you can send in feedback requests, but also just hang out with us. That's twit.tv/clubtwit. And I should mention that this Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, Aunt Pruitt is going to be hosting an AMA for yours truly. Folks from the Discord have written in their questions and are continuing to add them to the thing. So if there's been a question that you wanted to ask me, it is an AMA, which means ask me anything. It doesn't just have to be about tech. Maybe you're asking, why is he wearing that hat over those headphones? Because it's ridiculous. That's fine. Just join Club Twit, twit.tv/clubtwit, $7 a month, all that awesome stuff. And look, I think that they'll probably be mad that I told you this, but maybe if you just wanted to join for a month so you could be part of the AMA, that's totally okay. I mean, I'd love if you stuck around. We all would. But, if you just want to do it one time, that's fine too. Don't tell Lisa or Leo I said that. And now, Rosemary, I know that you aren't going to be here next week, and we are bummed out about that, but we all have to take some time off. But if folks want to follow you online and check out all the great work you're doing, where do they go to do that?
Well, first of all, they could check for me inside of your hat, which seems to be quite large. But aside from that, they can also find me over at rosemaryorchard.com and on micro.blog and Twitter with the usernames Rosemary Orchard. Mikah, what about you? You can find me at Mikah Sargent on many a social media network, also inside of this hat, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee, CHIHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I am most active online. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will catch you next week on iOS Today. Until then, we say goodbye. If you find yourself talking to those virtual assistants in your house quite often, or maybe you can make your light turn on and off with the touch of a button, well, Smart Tech Today is the show for you. Join Matthew Casanelli and myself, Mikah Sargent, every week as we talk all about smart stuff and the fun that comes along with it.